I'm feeling reminiscent, so let's have a look at this Panasonic NV730. Let's crack on. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Beats Bike video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as we're looking at one of my favourite Panasonic decks. You can argue it's nothing really very special, but it is an NV730. It's a fairly early short play, long play deck. Uses the D deck, or a variation of, I believe that's right. I always get this wrong. People always pick me up on it, so please do in this case as well. Yeah, this one was donated to the channel by Tim. Thank you very much, Tim. Hope all is well with you. And it's obviously been stored, maybe not in the best conditions. It's sort of seen a bit of life. Yeah, I just thought I've been doing lots of work on other machines and all the rest of it. Just really, really busy. And iPads as well, and laptops and all sorts been going on. So I thought this machine's been sat there sort of smiling at me every time I pass it, and I just thought, you know, let's have a look at it. I know we've looked at one on the channel before. That was an absolutely beautiful machine, to be fair. This one, like I say, it's seen a bit of life, so I'm sort of intrigued to see what it's like. So let's crack on. Okay, so screws are out. I do this one-handed. Yes, I can. Top is quite scratched and marked. So yeah, this is never going to be a best of show. So inside, first thoughts, you can see it has been in the damp. Heads look like they are on. Little bit of something, moisture damage going on there on the drum, but nothing too bad. Got some mold on the pinch roller. The idler feels super shiny. And it looks, yeah, we've got rust actually on the brake arm, which is not great. But the felt is still on the back tension arm, back tension strap, which is amazing considering. Then we've got these clock memory caps. You can see that's pretty bad. So what I'm going to do is pull this connector. This connector actually disconnects those caps, and it's being particularly tight. It's actually not that difficult to actually pull the whole lot off if you're not careful, so yeah, just take it steady. I will replace these maybe, depends how bad the deck is. Gosh, I think, yeah, the leg's broken off there, look, on that one. That one actually looks okay, but when you remove these, you might get a pop when you desolder them, even if you cut, I mean always cut the leads before you actually put any heat on these. Just cut off the leads as tightly as you can. I tend to cut them off and just leave a little bit proud, just so it's easy to pull them out if you need to, because this is not nice if you get it hot. But you may well get a pop anyway, desoldering them, because this is, whatever's coming out of here does seem to be extremely flammable, and you'll get just pops, almost like you've shorted out a high current source. It's that sort of sound. So just be aware of that, and more than likely I'll show doing that. Maybe not in this video. This video, a bit laid back. Like I say, being so busy with doing lots and lots of repairs and lots of stuff to come on the channel. But sometimes it's just nice to look at something I'm really familiar with and I like. I mean, I like them all, but you know what I mean. Something that sort of tickles my fancy. So, yeah, I think what I might do is we'll just turn it over. Being as it's been obviously damp for a period of its life, I think it'd be worth just taking the bottom cover off before we do anything else and to see what that's like. So underneath, actually looks okay. The belt's there. It doesn't feel particularly tight. I can see here where some moisture's sort of got in. But otherwise it doesn't look too bad. I do have a slight problem here where, well, I say slight problem, it looks worse than it is, but basically the sticky has come away on the connector for the front buttons. It's just come away from the supporting plastic backing, so that's no biggie. And to be honest, pressing that back seems to be enough to get that sort of looking a bit more like it should. But yeah, I suppose before we do anything else, we ought to have a look at the mains plug, and then we'll plug it in. Okay, so we haven't done one of these for a while, but it does have shrouded pins, which is something. What do you reckon? I reckon it's going to be a 13 amp fuse. Yeah, it's 13 amp fuse. Oh, and it's really green as well. So I think chop this off and we'll stick on a new plug, I think. So I'll crack on and do that now. Okay, so new plug's on, the amp fuse fitted. I don't know why I'm a bit nervous about doing this. It's one of those things, I don't know the history of it, and looking at the condition of it, anything could happen. So yeah, this could be fun, but we shall see. I did just put the meter across the mains plug, getting about 39 ohms, which is about what I'd expect for a transformer to be on the end of it. So, well, here goes. Okay, oh yeah, we have got a clock. I was going to say we've got no clock, but we do have a clock and a beep, which you can turn off on the back panel, which I will do because I find it annoying. Oh, I suppose let's leave it on, enjoy the experience. So gosh, that display, I wouldn't be surprised we have voltage issues. It's interesting because when I look at the display, it's really solid. But what you're seeing, obviously, you're seeing how the display is refreshed. But I do just wonder if we do have... Oh, it's warming up. But I think we've got bad caps in the power supply. So that, oh yeah, it's coming up lovely now. So yeah, I think we've got bad caps in the power supply there. This has taken a while for the 40 volt rail to 30, 36, whatever, to stabilize. So that's good. Just going to turn it off or out of standby again. It's actually working really well. And Yeah, what I might do is just leave it for a while, just for everything to reform. This has not been on for a very long time, given that that clock display. So I think, yeah, I'll just leave it in standby for a while and let it acclimatise, and then we'll give it another go. I'm not going to leave it long, probably about 10 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. And then we'll try a tape and to see what happens. Okay, so it's been off for a while, well, on for a while, then off for a while. Let's power it back on. So we're looking fairly good. One thing I would say about the capacitors for the power supply, this uses an STK chip, and so you don't really want leaky capacitors because those chips are fairly fragile. I mean, they seem pretty good in these machines, but yeah, you don't want to be stressing them more than they need to be. So let's turn that buzzer off. Just wondering if we can get anything out of this idler. So I'm just scratching it up a little bit. I mean, it needs to be changed, obviously, but yeah, I feel cracks in it, which is fairly common on these. I thought I'd turn that off. So these switches, they can actually play up. So there we go, it's starting to run now. And we might have enough torque to actually try playing this cassette. I mean, it's sort of quite cool because the error sensing, you don't have to sort of knock it out of standby. And you know, it will just shut off. You can try again straight away. Well, it's not ideal, but it is sort of starting to work. I mean, to be fair, some of it could well be just getting the actual reels moving. So unfortunately it is missing the cage as well. There is a cage that goes over the top here. The screening can. Not too worried about that. but a bit of a shame it's missing. Well, yeah, okay. So, I think what I'll do, yeah, it's a bit noisy, is sort out this pinch roller. It does look as if maybe it has been changed at some point. Maybe not. This is always a bad idea. To end up breaking the plastic. If you're not careful. That hasn't budged a bit. I need another tool. Okay, so just going to rock this. Let's get it free. So I shouldn't have really done any sort of put any marks, which I haven't, on the actual pinch roller itself. So just very gently doing it, basically, just rocking it back and forth until it comes off. So yeah, that's pretty grim. So I'll give that clean. Okay, so that's done. It's actually pretty good, to be fair. I don't think it actually matters which way you put this back on, but I'm putting it back on with the metal facing up. That seems to be the way to go, and you can see there it's got good run on, so the bearings are good. I do think it's actually original, and just put that on the way that it came off. So push this back in. So we seem to have good torque, good take up. That doesn't sound wonderful, does it? So bear in mind, I've not really cleaned this at all. I've just cleaned the... Yeah, I mean, this is going to need a really good clean. So I think I will do that next and just give it, I'm not going to give it comprehensive clean, but just enough to well, so it doesn't do that. Obviously we've got this issue, but that shouldn't really cause problems with playback, to be fair. So yeah, let's give it a clean. Okay, so I think that's a bit better. I sort of cleaned the deck, as you probably saw, just a little bit. I mean, obviously, it's still really grubby. But yeah, I just thought I would. So, pinch roll is okay now. Most of the deck components seem to be clean enough. And that seems a lot more stable. We are looking like we've got bad heads. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to try the old finger test. Well, that's a bit better. Ooh. That's a lot worse. Oh. Oh, there we go. I mean, I think these heads are pretty contaminated, to be fair. Let's just try the tracking. I mean, this is actually a short play video, so I don't know. Is this machine worth doing, do you think? I mean, my gut reaction, of course, is to fix it, but I mean, to get it really nice, I'm going to have to respray the top cover. I think the heads probably are salvageable, but they'll probably need taking off and soaking, which is fine. That's not a problem. But and obviously it's been in the damp. It's going to need probably the caps changed and the power supply, just to ensure they're reliable and we don't overload the SDK chip. I mean, so far it's feeling fairly cool. These obviously will have to go, and I probably will replace them, to be honest, because I'd like to try and keep things sort of as they were. Idler tire, I do actually have idlers for these, so that's fine. Belt underneath, that's easy. Sort out the rust on the back tension arm there, but yeah, it's worth it, isn't it? It seems a fairly good machine. Shame it's missing that cage, like I say, but it's these heads. I mean, the thing is, I think if I take these heads off, let's give them a soak, and if that does the trick, then great. If not, then, well, we'll have to review it, and maybe this will be used for spares, to get another machine going, another 730 going. But at the moment, that's not looking great, is it? But they are heavily contaminated, so yeah, let's give them a... Okay, so let's get these heads off. Luxury of the desoldering gun. Yeah, interesting, there's arrows missing off there. The arrows did not print. Okay, so how easy is this going to be to remove? No, it seems to be coming. There we go. It's certainly pretty grubby, with some corrosion. So I'll stick them in here. Need some isopropyl that isn't in a spray gun. There we go. There's quite a lot in there, to be fair, but I want to get the whole drum. So I'm going to leave these overnight. Somebody actually pointed out in the comments in a previous video when I said about doing this, about leaving them too long. And that is absolutely correct, because it does break down, or will break down eventually, the enamel that's around the coils of the actual head chips themselves, and that obviously you don't want. Now I have to say, with Sony stuff, with Betamax anyway, I've never known them break down. To be honest, I've actually seen them rot for being soaked way too long, before the enamels actually even started to degrade. But it's just worth bearing that in mind, that it's not a good idea to leave these soaking for more than 24 hours really. I would say even 12 hours is enough, and sort of agitating it so it sort of has a bit of a chance to sort of work in a bit. Maybe, I don't know, or maybe I'm just making myself feel better. That does actually, yeah, I don't really want the board in it, particularly the PCB on the top, just because that might cause problems with the paint. So I'm going to just move the head disc back to the higher point in the bath. Yeah, and that should be good. I'm only putting the cling film over the top just because it stops the too much of it evaporating. It's not the cheapest stuff in the world, isopropyl. So yeah, I'll do other heads with this lot. But yeah, get that sorted, leave that overnight, and we'll see. So it is more like 48 hours since I put these heads into soak, and yeah, they still look pretty ropey on the top there, but hopefully the head chips have cleaned up quite nicely, and we can get these fitted back in the deck. So we see we've got white boards here and then the normal coloured boards here, and they have to correspond to, let's turn this round, do the marks on here, so white to white, and I haven't done that particularly well, a bit clumsy. Hopefully the pins haven't got distorted. Yeah, I can see them all there. So there's still one truly covered in isopropyl. Screws. Just want to see if these heads are going to be any good. I've had a look for some new old stock ones, and there is nothing. What's interesting is that the heads, the number on the heads is VH045, but the actual part number in the manual is VH0267. I think that's right. Yes, it is. I've got the manual up on the screen behind me, actually, so try and tell you the right information as far as I can. Okay, so that's on. And all good. So, I mean, the heads themselves look great, but the other thing as well I have noticed is don't know how far you can actually see that, but it is quite worn. There is quite a lot of wear there as well. So yeah, I don't know. But what I'm going to do now is just let that sit for a while. Just let all that isopropyl evaporate a bit. Still quite a bit in the top of the head chip adjustment Allen keys. So yeah, we'll be right back. Okay, so I've put a bit of insulation tape over the LEDs in the center there. Hopefully that'll be enough to stop light from causing issues with running the deck with no tape in. So I'm gonna get this to load. There's two tabs here, which are loading, misloading, which I can't do quickly enough. There we go. So let's fast forward. It's not going too well. I'm just going to run this just for a second. Let's get it as dry as possible. Throw out any potential grease. Grease? Not grease. That would be bad. Isopropyl. And take-up torque is pretty poor, which you'd expect with a bad light idler. Let's see what's actually stopping. Yeah, so it's the idler itself. So that's cool. I think that's long enough. take off the tape. There we go. That was on really well. So, how awful is this going to be? Give it a quick wind. It's actually not doing too bad. Yeah, rewind is not good. God, that's stopped. I do have some contamination there. So I've removed the heads again, and yes, I did leave the cassette in. It's not really a problem, but it's a bit more interesting because obviously you've got a bit of plastic in the way, but it was fine. And I have another meter. You might have seen in a previous video looking at the Konig head testing meter, but I've now got this rather cool Yufeng, I think that's right, video head tester. As a beta version and a VHS version. This is VHS. Can't find the beta ones for love nor money. But I've calibrated it, so you calibrate it so it's there, and then turn it to the right value, which I believe is A, but it doesn't really matter which measurement I go to. These heads have had it. Basically, if it's sort of 2, 1, 2 on the scale, they need replacing. Any higher than that, and they're dead. So this is showing dead. And battery check, which is quite cool. Needle in the battery area. Yeah, I will cover this meter in detail actually in a future video, together with the Konig, looking at some different heads, VHS and Betamax and V2000. And we might even chuck in an M1502 or even a 1700 head disc as well, just to see how they all compare. But yeah, so at the moment I'm at a standstill with this machine. If indeed I'm even going to repair it, it might be one that I maybe keep for spares. Haven't decided yet. I mean, it's tidy enough. Top cover's a bit scratched and there's a bit of rust on the top, but I could get that resprayed, maybe. But I have got all the service items for it. I've got all the rubbers. The pinch roller is actually really good, so even though it was a bit mouldy, I cleaned it up and it's really very good, so I haven't got any problem with that. So what do you think? Should I get this up and running and keep an eye out for a new head disc? And I mean, it should be a really good machine, to be honest. These are very solid machines. But what do you think? Is it too much effort? It's obviously seen a bit of life, especially in storage. So let me know in the comments. Yeah, my feeling is I'm going to get it going. But yeah, stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. And then you'll see when that video drops. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this one. Sorry it's not a repair video as such. It's more of an investigation. Is it worth doing? Yeah, lots more fun stuff to come. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye for now.